Tractatiana Danina. The Teaching of Djwhal Khul. New Esoteric Astrology. Chapter 7. The Three Giant Celestial Bodies, a comparison of character of their radiation. But what celestial bodies emit particles that so affect us? What kind of particles? What is their quality? Let's look at these moments. The particles' effect on the Earth and its inhabitants, us. Either this is the particles emitted by the Sun, this is primarily photons, that is the particles of the physical plan. The particles of other plans are also present, but in much smaller numbers, so they do not yet registered by devices. Or the particles effect from outer space that is located outside our solar system. Three most powerful sources of radiation for the Earth, external to the solar system, are the nuclei of our galaxy, our supergalaxy, and the central celestial body of the universe. The light they emit contains particles not only physical, but also all other plans. Moreover, the higher the percentage of radiation of the higher plans increases with the growing of the scale of the celestial body. Particles of any plan, getting into the heavenly bodies, are heated due to the effect of transformation of the quality by gravitation. Superscript 1, see note below. Mainly in the composition of celestial bodies there is the transformation by gravity. And if they are heated, then begin to move from the center to the periphery. And in the course of this they can overcome the attraction of this celestial body and be emitted by it, and start to move coasting from it. Moving by inertia, the particles reach our planet. And here they nourish our dense shell and subtle bodies. These thin shells and include information about who we are from them and depend on what shape and appearance the physical component takes. So the impact on them of the particles arriving at the Earth is very important. Superscript 1, whenever an excessive amount of external ether enters in a particle per unit of time, transformation of the external manifestation of its quality occurs. T. Danina, Ethereal Mechanics, Article Transformation, Evolution, Quality. This rise in temperature. The energy of the particle is important, of course. But it is not the only essence of influence. One of the most important factors is the information component. That is what information coming radiation bring. And the higher the plan, the later it was involved in the process of evolutionary stimulation of the lower plans. The less it has what is referred to as evil, mother and darkness. Then freer the particles from all that involutional and slows the development of the universe. Such information is vitally important for any celestial body. It is a pledge of its future. It is these particles open the upper chakras of any living being and facilitate its early enlightenment. The general course of the physico-chemical astronomical processes that take place in different parts of the universe, at its different levels, at celestial bodies of all kind of scale can be considered the same. In any celestial body thermonuclear fusion and radioactive decay flow, but that's to a word. And all celestial bodies in varying degrees emit particles, of the physical, photons, and other plans that are part of their chemical elements. The reason of radiation is the heating due to the law of transformation. And the qualitative composition of radiation is approximately the same. Although there are differences in the amount of emitted particles, that is, how many they are emitted per unit of time. Naturally, the bodies of larger size and of higher density emit a greater amount. In addition, the bodies of larger scale were previously involved in the process of diving the spirit into the matter, that is of the deposition of the particles of overlying plans for spiritual enlightenment of lower. Therefore, in the composition of their emissions the percentage of those same, higher planes is more. A simple conclusion follows. The central celestial body of the universe is the most powerful source of radiation of particles of all existing in the universe. The nuclei of supergalaxies emit a lesser extent. Nuclei of the galaxies do even less. And so it goes downward. Stars are even weaker emitters. And emission of particle by planets and satellites is all minimized. And everywhere in the universe the same process flows, involution, the dive of the spirit into the matter with the further purpose, to ascend it on the sky. This means that the particles of subtle plans are immersed into dense and unite with them into one whole. Any celestial body is involved in this process. It takes place on the planets and the stars, and in the nuclei of galaxies and supergalaxies, and, of course, in the central celestial body of the universe. Everywhere there is a struggle and synthesis of light and darkness, spirit and matter. And we can assume that this great war in heaven has the strongest, powerful character in the first place, namely in the central celestial body. And first of all, thanks to its huge attraction, gravity. That makes it easier dive into it the particles of thin plans. Accordingly, once in this celestial body there is immersed more particles of subtle plans, and it emits them more than smaller bodies, for example, galactic nuclei or stars. That is, we are summing to the idea that the heavenly body is bigger, the more powerful it is as the source of radiation, and besides of radiation of particles of different plans. The central celestial body is located of our solar system at a great distance, as compared, for example, with our Sun or even with the nuclei of the galaxy and supergalaxy. Only because of this we do not feel the full power of its radiant emittance. Whether it is so close to a planet such as the Sun, the Earth would instantly incinerated, heated to incredible temperatures. The central celestial body is the farthest from our solar system than others. The supergalaxy nucleus is closer. And the nucleus of the galaxy is the nearest to us, a giant celestial body of all that exists in the universe. Only therefore we can compare the power of emissivity of such disparate in scale heavenly bodies like the nucleus of the galaxy, supergalaxy and the central celestial body. Because the farther then amount of emitted particles reaching us is less. However, not everything is so simple. The overall qualitative and quantitative composition of the radiation is very important for us. And it depends on several factors. First, let's remember that the particles yang, that is with fields of repulsion, are capable to support the movement started in the empty space infinitely. In real conditions the particles yang do not move by inertia indefinitely. Various forces retard them, attraction, repulsion, pressure. The substance of cosmos absorbs, other particles with which they are faced repel. Anyway, this type of particles is capable to pass the greatest distance, moving by inertia. And besides, exactly these particles have the greatest energizing effect. When they are accumulated in the substance, they increase its temperature and transform its quality in the greatest extent. Inertial, self-sustaining motion of particles in contrast fades pretty quickly. Yin particles are the heavy material particles absorbing energy. But without them of course all also is meaningless. Secondly, the particles of yin and yang usually move together in a single flow. The particles yin, selecting energy, slow down yang. And last, on the contrary, support by their energy the movement of yin. Third, any celestial body provides to emitted particles the degree of transformation of a certain value. You can also try to speak the language of science, gives some momentum. The degree of transformation and the quality of the particle depends on the initial speed of the inertial motion. The degree of transformation has a constant value for each celestial body and depends on the magnitude of its gravitational field. But the quality of all particles is different. More precisely, the most important is the rate of destruction of ether, energy. And it just gradually decreased in all particles, yang and yin, in the direction from the lower plans to the upper. That is, then the rate of destruction is less, the higher is the initial, starting speed of the particle. We are taking you the idea that the higher the plan is, the greater is the speed the particles begin to move. And the greater is the starting speed, the longer is an inertial motion of the particle. The greater is the distance it will pass. Fourth, the greater is the mass of a celestial body, that is, the greater is its attraction field, the bigger it is, the more particles are the part of it, the greater is the degree of transformation in forms of emitted particles. And the higher is their initial speed. And the greater distance emitted particles go before they start to decelerate and absorb by the space environment and celestial bodies. Therefore the central celestial body, since it is the most massive of all and besides the furthest from us, it is mainly a source of particles of higher plans, for our solar system, for the Earth and for us. From there, the most subtle vibrations are emitted, the most spiritualizing influence, transforming our bodies and souls, and lifting up on the evolutionary ladder, in the greatest extent. This is the spiritual crescent. It emits a lot of particles of varying quality. But because of the distance between the Earth and this heavenly body, mainly particles of the higher plans reach us. The supergalaxy nucleus is closer to us and has a smaller mass. Due to the smaller scale, it emits a total not so many particles compared to the central body. Percentage of particles of any quality, of any plan is below. However, the qualitative and quantitative composition of radiation reaching us also depends on the distance, as explained above. The closer, the fewer particles have time to slow down and be absorbed by the space environment, and this primarily relates to the lower plans. The lower is the plan, the less is inertial speed. The lower is this rate, the faster the particle stops. It turns out that in the composition of the radiation of nucleus of the supergalaxy, the percentage of particles of the lower plans increases. Moreover, in this case we should not take literally any one or two plans. Just in general the percentage changes. The quality of particles increasingly shifted toward materialistic. Vibrations become denser, less spiritualized. Try to imagine. With a decrease in the total number of particles, the particle content of the lower plans increases. The percentage of particles of the upper does not decrease, because, as you remember, they depend on the distance in the least extent. But their number is less than the number of the central body because the nucleus of supergalaxy emits less. And an even greater extent this applies to the nucleus of the galaxy, to its radiation and to vibration of energies emanating from it. They are even denser and contain even more of the material principle. And all because the scale of the galaxy nucleus is less and its mass is too, naturally. Thus the total number of emitted particles decreases, of all present therein plans. The nucleus of galaxy is nearest to us of the three giant celestial bodies. Because of this, the content of particles of underlying plans increases as part of its radiation even more. That is, that in esotericism is called as matter. In the first turn, we understand by them the physical and astral. This is very important information, the basis of everything in astrology, and it is desirable to introduce it to your inner eye as best as possible. Let's summarize. A total number of particles reaching us from the giant bodies is about the same. The central celestial body is a source of particles of upper plans and stimulates the upper chakras. This is an experience of mountain peaks. The chakras of brain work most of all, the head center, the ajna center and the altar major center, in the medulla oblongata. These are the chakras of the Buddhic plan and the upper levels of the mental. They correspond to the human kingdom in its higher manifestations and to the kingdom of souls. The nucleus of supergalaxy is the source of particles, the middle plans. It stimulates the development of the middle chakras. This is an experience of flatlands. The head chakra, the cardiac and the chakra of the solar plexus. These are the chakra of upper levels of the astral plan and of lower levels of mental. They correspond to the medium developed humanity and to the highly developed species of animals. The nucleus of galaxy is the source of predominantly of the lower plans, and it develops the lower energy centers. This is an experience of caves. Two lower chakras, the sacral and the chakra at the base of the spine. These are the chakras of the average levels of the astral plan. It corresponds to the vegetable kingdom and primitive forms of animals. Influence of the sun, as of any star on its planets, can also be classified as a cave experience. The solar radiation contains predominantly particles of the middle and upper levels of the physical plan. In esoteric they are called ethereal and form the ethereal body of every living creature, including minerals. And the dense material body of the human, animal or plant, its molecules from which it is built, it is also a mineral. so that the radiation of the sun corresponds to the simplest chakras in the universe, to chemical